Hey, this is Holly Rovinger from Publish, Promote, Profit, and I have the privilege of being here today with Dr. Joel Feiss, who is not only an amazing physician, he's an amazing writer. And I think over time, Joel and I have become friends, so I really feel honored and privileged that we're really going to help his book, Zorda #1, on Amazon. So I asked him here today so we can find out exactly what motivated, prompted, and got him to actually sit down and become an author when he's been a physician all these years. So, welcome.
Hi.
So, let me just ask you, and I'm sure our listeners want to know, have you always been a writer?
No. Well, I wrote, I've published 5 medical articles.
Really?
From training, and one while I was in training, and 4 while I've been in practice. But I never wrote novels before. I started in about 2008, and since then I've completed three novels, and I'm on my 4th one.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know you were starting your 4th one already.
I'm already on chapter 8.
Wow! Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Very good. So, the medical ones obviously were just something that I'm guessing came easier to you because it was all about your field and your study.
They were all scientific.
So that's interesting. Well, when did you even begin thinking about writing a book, like fiction?
Around 2008, I just I have an interest in the commodity markets, and I've been trading commodities for probably 20 years. So I've had this little thought going through my mind of how terrorism is financed. And so I utilized my knowledge of the oil markets and began getting this concept of a novel. And I just sat down and started writing it.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And Joel is very bright as far as finances. I guess traditionally, and I don't mean to speak in generalities, most physicians don't know about business and finance as well as you do. So the fact that he decided to do this really would tell me and should tell all of you that you need to read his books, critically. So, okay, so about 2008 you said?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I started at the end of 2008. It took me almost a year to write the first one. I finished somewhere in 2009.
Okay, so that's when you actually start. So what not only led up to the actual writing, the primary reason, was it for yourself, to accomplish a dream, or was it to just really get it out to the public, your thoughts? Like, what really led up to this?
Just to do it. I didn't have any concept of that it would get out to the public or any. I just wrote it for myself, basically. And I didn't think it was going to be anything, really. I just started writing, and by the end of the year, I had a product. I had a book. And I didn't think much of it, and then a few of my friends read it, and they said, hey, this is really a good book. So I decided to go ahead and see if I could self-publish it.
Unbelievable.
And I did, and it was very raw because I had no knowledge of the Chicago Manual, which is what everybody uses for writing. I didn't have any knowledge of even how to set paragraphs or any of those things. And so I got a little help from iUniverse, which was the first publisher, self-publisher, and they did a proofread, and they really basically taught me all the things that you need to know to write a book. I rewrote it with, after their suggestions, and it came out pretty good. And I basically sold it to my patients and my friends and whoever would buy it.
Well, share with our audience how many patients you actually have in this office.
Probably, I would guess probably 5,000.
So that's quite
5,000 active patients.
Right.
I would guess.
Quite a lot of people that are have read the books and have high accolades to say about it. So, in the past, were you traditionally seen as somebody who knew how to write well? Like, let's go way back to high school and college.
No, absolutely. Just the opposite. I actually failed history in high school. Had to retake it.
Oh my God!
I was not a good high school student, and English was my hardest subject in college because I was basically in the sciences. So it's a struggle for me. It's hard for me to write. So, but with time, I've just just accomplished the ability to write. I mean, it just comes. I can't explain it really. I sit down, and it just starts coming to me. It's very, very weird. Unless you use your imagination to produce a book, you can't understand. I'll sit down with not a thought in my head, and it'll just start coming. It's very weird, and it's so much fun.
Oh yeah, see, fun. It's fun, and what I want to share with you all, I'm all about mindset, and what I believe happens. Joel's saying it's weird, but I believe that he wanted to do this. So his mindset is, I'm going to write a book, and I've got to write a book. It's just something I want to do. So his mind was already open to it, and then once he opened himself up to the universe, saying, I'm ready to do this, the thoughts come in.
They come in.
Is it a miracle? No, it's just a matter of, I want to do this, get your mindset, and the ideas will flow.
So the first book, Retribution for Acts of Terrorism, was really a book about the oil markets and how it's manipulated through Dubai. So I bring in Dubai and in all murder mysteries, there's in all mysteries there's going to be a murder. The murder's got to be solved, and I bring in some politics.
Really?
Yes. At the time, and I've done a whole bunch of courses on religion and history, and I utilized a lot of my knowledge about Islam to bring into the book. So. And the other aspect of the book was Aspen, which I go there a lot. I ski there and I hike there during the summers, and so the setting is in Aspen, and nothing could be more beautiful than that.
Oh, and I will definitely concur with that. And it's funny because reading Joel's books and he's talking about all these places that I've been, you can feel yourself there.
Yeah, I think it's added to the first two books.
So that's how you decided the plot. I mean, that pretty much explains
Yes.
it. Now, the characters, from what I've heard, you pattern them after people in the office.
I just use the names.
Okay.
So everybody says, well, but I don't have blonde hair, and I'm not. So I basically used everybody's name, all the girls in the office's name. In the second book, I used all the grandchildren. I have 12 grandchildren, so all of their names are in the book. In the third book, I'm using anybody who read my first two books, so they get to be in the third book.
Fabulous! That's great.
And that's how I get the names. But the names have nothing to do with the personalities or the visual appearance of the characters.
So how did the characters develop? Like, how did you decide what each character was going to do and be?
Just pure imagination.
He just gave himself into it.
It's pure imagination, and that's what makes it so relaxing and so much fun. You just dream it up.
Love it. It's just giving yourself into it.
Yep.
It's absolutely, which is fabulous. So, do you feel your writing has improved over time? I know you and I have talked about it, but I'd like you to share, with the audience.
There's no question. In fact, I have plans to go back and rewrite the first book. I was fortunate enough to have somebody in California read the first book. He's a screenplay writer. He wrote a screenplay for me. We haven't been able to get an agent to actually do anything with it yet, but I like the way he took the book and actually changed it a little bit. So I'm going to rewrite it using that format. And the dialogue in the first book was it was off. It was my first book. I really didn't know how to write dialogue. Since then, I've read a book on how to write dialogue, so I'm going to go back and rewrite the first book.
So you've gotten much better.
Oh, I think so.
So
and everybody tells me that the second book was way better than the first.
So the name of the first book, share with our listeners.
It is Retribution for Acts of Terrorism.
And then the second book
is called The Formula.
Okay. Now, you have a third book coming out. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
The third book is very, very different than the first two. It's also in the genre of murder mystery, but it's a book based on the memoirs of a friend of mine who has since passed away, who wrote his memoirs based on his life at the Air Force Academy in the 1960s. So this was a time of Kennedy, Khrushchev, all of those political events. And it was also a time in 1965 at the Air Force Academy where they had a big scandal and half the class was kicked out for cheating. He happened to be one of them. He was a senior then. He was kicked out of also, and 10 years afterwards he wrote his memoirs. And he never did anything with it. And it was a 500-page book.
Oh my God.
And he showed it to me. I read it. I said, you have to do something with this. It's great. And he never did. And he's since gone on to pass away. But before he did die, he gave me the book and said, do what you want with it. So I just took his memoirs and put it into a modern mystery.
I
changed all the names of all the people, and to me it is so exciting because I get to acknowledge him and his family as well as bring out that whole piece of history in the 1960s.
That's fabulous,
So
and it's also
I'm really
very
excited about it.
yeah, very touching, and yeah, we can't wait to get this book out to the market, and I hope that all of you run, don't walk to buy this book because that sounds amazing, and plus it's such a nice tribute to a friend. It's
Yeah.
really, really a good deed. So the location you said is at the Academy?
It's at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs.
Okay, interesting, and it tells his memoir. So your goal for this book, have you thought about it? What would you like to see happen?
I would like a lot of people to read it.
Okay, there you go.
Number one, but I think I'm most excited about his wife and his kids, and reading the book, liking the book, and would just accept my acknowledgement.
Wow. Okay, and we're gonna read a little from the book. We'll be back in a little while to share some excerpts from the book. So the name of the book is
In the Name of Honor.
In the Name of Honor by Dr. Joel Feiss, and I would encourage all of you, get a copy, read it, and then go back and read his other two books because they're really amazing, and you'll just jump in and you won't want to put it down. So Joel, thank you for the interview, and we all wish you the best of luck with your new book.
Thanks. Thank you.